Welcome to episode 5 of Mark My Bird. My name is T-Bird.
And I'm Mark Clavin.
And Clavin, busy week in snowboarding. The season's coming to a close, but before we get into that, what's going on in your part of the world in Cleveland, Ohio, buddy?
Weekly Cleveland update. Well, the weather's getting very nice. So, nothing much besides I've been going on a lot of walks. Blew out my pair of Vans recently, so I had to switch over to New Balances. They were not MTE Vans, so
Okay.
I might have to try those out.
You're like a New Balance dad guy now. You're gonna be like covered in grass clippings in your lower half.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if your child wants to come live with me for a little bit, I'm getting much more responsible by the day. It's just been, it feels like, honestly, I have to say, New Balance feels like I'm walking on clouds, but everyone in my life has now been viciously burning me on how terrible I look walking around.
Welcome to old age, Mark, where function over fashion actually, like, that's my motto, man. Function over fashion.
Dude, a 1.5 mile walk should never be hurting the bridge of my feet as a 31-year-old. I'm turning 32 soon, and I feel like I'm going on 65.
Well, dude, in the snowboard world, this is my favorite time of year because you get those like spring terrain park shoots that are going down, and that kind of leads me into the uninvited. Contest looked so fucking awesome, man. Like the progression, the features that they had at Woodward Park City, it looked out of this world.
Looked insane. And to be quite honest, because I've been watching most of the snowboarding events this year from my kitchen in Cleveland, solid live stream. Craig and Dara did a really good job, and like no problems, very clean camera angles. It like was a very professional production.
Yeah, to see how far that event's come since Jess Kimura started it, that it was just unbelievable. I had crazy FOMO. I wish I was there. But all the
huge prize purse too.
Yeah, really big prize purse.
$10K for third place, or for second place, $13K for first place. Like, kudos to everybody involved in that event to actually get riders paid too.
Yeah, you're damn right. And then over in Europe, I mean, we're setting some world records and shit at the nines. That looks like a wild ass event.
Yeah, I want to ask our guest about this with Red Bull. Like always now, the past like few weeks, they've just been trying to break world records. You got thoughts on that?
Yeah, world records are a bit of a polarizing topic. I mean, it's such an individual sport. Do world records matter? I mean, would I like a world record? Yes, but do I think they matter? I don't know.
What would your world record be?
Honestly, my world record, I could jump rope for a long ass time.
Dude, there's no somebody already has that for like probably 48 hours of jumping rope straight. You're not doing that. You don't have the drive.
I would have to find like a really, really dumb one, like the most like beer cans crushed with your foot in 30 seconds and just work toward breaking that. That's what I'd go for, lowest hanging fruit for sure.
Just have a massive coconut as a thigh, like just your thigh just practicing for years. Because I'm sure also that world record is probably very hard to break. Cool. Just as a final update, we've already said Red Bull like 3 times this episode, but they are not a sponsor yet.
Yeah.
We also still don't have a jingle for this podcast. So everyone out there, if you want to, send us money or music, definitely table is open.
Well, Mark, you say Red Bull isn't a sponsor yet, and that leads me into the intro because they might be after this. Because our guest right here is one of their marquee flagship athletes among many other world-renowned sponsors. His name is Mark Lee McMorris, Canadian professional snowboarder, arguably the greatest competitive snowboarder of all time, and one of the best snowboarders that our culture has ever seen. This man has defined a generation. He comes from Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, the son of a grain farmer and a nurse. It's what I found online. The younger brother to one of our culture's most prominent voices. This kid's an innovator, a driving force of perpetual progression, and he is a true snowboarding superstar. He's got a record 23 X Games medals. That is the most in history. He's got 3 Olympic bronze medals, 4 U.S. Open championships. He's one of the best backcountry snowboarders alive. The kid's got ice in his veins, but a very, very warm heart. He is Mark McMorris. Let's welcome him in.
How'd I do, buddy? That was the nicest intro I've ever received. Thank you so much.
Ice in the veins, warm heart. You're wow.
I'll take it.
It's true, dude. The kid is a competitive beast, but you would never know it if you just met him on the beach after surfing. You're one of my favorites, Mark. We are so thankful to have you on the podcast, buddy. How are you doing? What's going on?
Thank you. I would just like to say two of the people I love to see on the road, T-Bird and Mark Clavin. Like, I love you guys a lot. I appreciate what you guys do for snowboarding and all that you contribute to this sport. And it's been fun to share times with you guys around the world. It's like the luckiest guys ever. And I appreciate all your support. And it's cool that you guys are speaking on snowboarding. And it was cool to just listen to that intro and get brought up on the week's topics.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point of this thing is we try to cap them at an hour. We try to have, big time guests with great personalities. I can't think of anyone better than yourself. Quick question. Was I found it online. Was I correct? Your dad was a grain farmer. Mom was a nurse. Yeah.
Yeah. My dad farmed a lot. He also taught people how to drive. And then he had a pretty long stint in politics, which he just retired from.
Oh, nice. What did he in the political world?
So he did provincial politics, which is like state. Provinces are a lot like a state, and he played a lot of different roles, but he was a health minister of Saskatchewan. He was a minister of government relations, minister of liquor and gaming. He had a great run. He was loved by our province. But yeah, I think a lot of people related to him because he was a grain farmer and played hockey. And yeah, anyways, now he likes to snowboard and play hockey still. And I'm very thankful for him and what he's been able to accomplish. And he's a very inspiring guy. And yeah, I'm happy for him that he's out of that political eye, though, because it is not an easy thing on the fam.
I don't think we're going to talk politics this early, but I have a question for you.
I know.
Have you been hit up by RFK Jr. to do a shared collab snowboarding post like some of the other major snowboarding people in Instagram?
No, I only snowboard with prime ministers that actually snowboard.
Oh,
Trudeau, I like that.
Solid shade.
I love asking Canadians this because it's such a deep-rooted part of the culture. But if you could narrow it down to one thing, what makes a good hockey player? Is it the skating? Is it the hands? Is it the build?
Skating, most importantly.
Yeah.
Speed and agility.
Fundamentals.
If you can get yourself open, you don't need to be that nice with it, because you're wide open. You don't need to be the quickest hands, softest hands. If you're the fastest skater on the ice, you're the best player on the ice.
So you and Craig grew up playing hockey. Give us the honest answer. Who was the better hockey player growing up?
I played higher level hockey, but then I stopped playing hockey. Well, Craig stopped the year before, and he got to snowboard way more that winter. And I was like, and then I actually was blessed with a coach that took it way too serious for 12-year-olds. But that's kind of par for the course for Saskatchewan. Craig's 2 years older than me.
And what type
or just shy of 2 years.
What type of older brother was Craigie? Was he like beat you down or give you a hug? I had a beat you down older brother, and it was tough.
Yeah, it was hard for me to hang out with his friends, but his friends liked me a lot. But he was just like, but we were the best of friends in the sense that we would scrap and then go snowboard, or scrap and then go play a game, or we were just, that's what we did. Mini sticks, fucking ping pong, and then just threw each other through the drywall in the same half hour, so. But hey, just to go back to the hockey, I would say Craig's played so much more over the last few years. I would say he's maybe a bit better of a player than me now, because he gets on the ice every 3 days basically. But yeah, I was a bit more of an aggressive kid. I think you could probably imagine that.
You had the kind of brother that you'd go through the drywall and then you guys would both kind of fix it before your parents get home, I'm guessing.
Man, I remember one time they had just redone it because it was so messed up for mini sticks, and within with the second day, someone had already gone through it.
See, as Americans, we didn't have mini sticks, but we had vacuum cleaners, and me and my brother put a vacuum cleaner through a wall one time. And before my parents got home, he patched the entire thing.
You're saying mini sticks never made their way to America?
They're there.
I don't know what mini sticks are. I'm gonna be honest.
Like they're little plastic hockey sticks, and you play in the basement with your friends and
on your knees.
It's the craziest battles we'd have in like full tournaments at friends' houses. It was good times.
What's the worst thing you ever went to the penalty box for? Or did you have like a go-to? Like, were you like a cross-checking guy? Or like, would you like hit someone in the back of the legs with your sticks? I think that's called slashing.
I didn't sit in the box much.
Yeah.
I mean, I played contact hockey and in Saskatchewan, they let it get rough, as you can imagine. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what I got penalties for the most. I mean, everyone gets penalties, but I don't know, tripping maybe. I don't know.
Are you talking trash at that age? Like, are you chirping back and
buddy?
Yeah.
Chirp.
Did you had enforcers backing you up?
Yeah, there's like, I'm telling you, there's probably not a place in the world where like junior hockey is taken as serious as the province I grew up in. Like, I'll never forget. I was 12 years old, and I think I was the assistant captain that year of like a Pee Wee Tier 1 team, and I forgot my neck gaiter and in the dressing room for practice, and the coach made me skate the whole 45-minute practice back and forth. And I was loving snowboarding and kind of getting some opportunities. And then I was like, you know what? This doesn't happen in snowboarding. This kind of discipline for a game that's supposed to be fun for 12-year-olds is ridiculous, man. And then I love working hard and motivation and all that. So when I just got to focus strictly on snowboarding, it just went.
Well, and like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I would assume hockey is probably like the most glorified ticket out of Regina, right? Like, it's probably
you either farm or you go to the NHL, basically.
Yeah.
There's lots out there career paths, but neither of those look exciting to me. It was either hockey or snowboarding or skating, but we couldn't skate for half the year.
Did a bunch of buddies rip on you for going to snowboarding, like quitting hockey and snowboarding?
No, but it was weird for my parents, you know, like even when I first started doing like pro contests and stuff, they'd be like, yeah, Mark snowboards. And they're like, yeah, my kids snowboard too, you know? But it's like, no, like Mark like snowboards. Like he like makes a living off of it. Like, what? And people still have a tough time like believing it until you're like, I mean, I've been to 3 Olympics and I ride for Red Bull, Oakley, and Burton and Nike, you know, like, and then they're like, oh, okay. And they start to like act like you do something real.
Oh, you ride for Nike too? You got to hook up on some walking shoes you want to send me?
Yeah, I overheard the intro. I'm about those walking shoes, but yeah, you could benefit from getting off those New Balances.
Well,
just swag alone would improve.
Yeah, Clavin and swag are not two words that are synonymous.
Well,
maybe we could.
I've seen him swag out before.
I mean, you also.
I mean, you look swaggy this morning. I love your fit.
There we go. That's a kid at high school said that to me not too long ago, and that was a nice thing. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. All right. I hang out at high school sometimes when I need a boost in my confidence.
Well, no, I will say, Clavin, to your credit, you were invited to go speak to at your high school as like
That's awesome.
They invited Clavin to go back to his high school and like inspire the kids to like follow your dream and your passion. That's fucking dope.
Yeah, I mean, if I was in high school and a kid out of my town came to speak that made a living off photography and got to do this cool role in snowboarding, that's rad. Good job that you did that.
I did actually show photos of you in the speech as well. So you contributed to some high school kids thinking I'm cool. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, but we'll stop talking about me and high school kids. Next,
I'm having fun.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as like success too, like you obviously, I mean, you're world renowned. You own a house in Southern California, which is arguably one of the most impressive stats on your resume.
Dude, I was actually talking about it the other day, and I think it was like one of the most motivating things I ever did for me. Like, it was so scary. I made a huge investment when I was 20 years old, and it made me be like, I gotta be like on, and I gotta keep giving her. And it was like motivating to keep go to another Olympics, to keep working my ass off. Like, I bought the house and pretty much the next year broke my femur and I was tripping. And I just kind of like, believing in yourself is kind of the name of the game, and just knowing that you can do it, and kind of putting that self pressure on, which I don't know if it's actually a good thing, and I put way too much on myself, but now I'm sitting in this position where everything's bonus from here. And I'm just lucky that I get to still snowboard for a living, and lucky that I can even hang with these young kids in competitions, and I get to still film video parts and go do all these rad things.
Did you have, at 20 years old, I mean, I remember buying a house with my wife when I was 33 or 34, you know, and did you have like a support system that you could like call? Was it your parents? And you're like, hey, what does this loan information mean? How do I decipher this? Who was your kind of like support system when you're making a decision that big at such a young age?
Yeah, so it was kind of right after Russia. I kind of finished up that season, filmed, and then I was down in SoCal with, I actually, brought my family down here. Andy Hetzel was a good friend already, and he was a realtor down here. Big shout to Andy. And I knew I wanted to buy something down here because I had lived here for the previous 3 falls. Just before I would like go to Colorado, I would spend 2 months here, surf and train B project, and then go to Colorado and start riding and then competing. And I was like, this is the greatest place on earth. You know, growing up in Saskatchewan and then getting to hang out down here, it's a big difference. September, October, November are different months down here than Saskatchewan. So when that spring after the 2014 Olympics, I was cruising down here. And I mean, my parents, we knew that I needed like real help with my financial stuff. I didn't want to mess it up. And you hear about that a lot with athletes. So we hired KPMG and the RBC private banking team, and they were so on it. And you pay some money, but you don't miss any payments on taxes. Like, you know, like and to me, that's worth it.
Yeah, 100%. And it's such a smart move, because on the converse side of that, there are so many stories in all of professional sports where you hear like, oh, did you hear so-and-so? They're broke now. And you're like, how the fuck did that happen?
But I understand how too, because maybe their parents are like, I got you. Like, we don't need this team. But my parents are so dope and chill, and they're like, we're not professionals in this field. This isn't what we do. So we're not going to manage Mark's money. You know, that's really respectable to me. And I have friends where their parents fucked it up for them, and that's not cool.
Yeah.
And I've learned from others' mistakes, and I've made hella mistakes myself with investments and all sorts of random stuff, but I've learned from that, and I feel really lucky for the lessons that I've had, and like the good times and the bad times. So it's just it's a constant game of learning.
Well, going back,
you want a key to not going broke would be move to buy a house in Cleveland, Ohio. Not that scary. You can do it like with like, you know, you work like a couple hours at McDonald's and you're like, oh, I got a down payment, I'm good to go.
Mark, going back to you talking about how, you know, dropping in on that house at such a young age, as an investment in your future was like a motivating driving factor for you moving forward. Do you find that there's this thing called the greatness code, right? And I research it a lot, and it's like certain levels of elite professional athletes kind of either have it or they don't. Do you feel like you have that, in the sense that in a situational setting, you will manufacture motivation to succeed?
I would say I have something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Something turns on when there's something on the line, and I don't know what it is, and I've never spoke with sports psychologists or anything like that. It's just something deep down that turns on, and I don't know if it will last forever, what it is, but it's been present for 15 years. Like, I mean, I think like my first X Games was when I was 15, and Arctic Challenge and all that, and I'm 30 now, so that's half my life I've been doing this. And it's every single contest. I've never been like, nah, if I'm like at a major event. There's maybe been times where I'm like, I don't want to do this contest because of the weather or this or that, but I don't have many times where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna just cruise it.
So is there one contest in that huge span? I'm sure there's multiple like very proud moments in your career. Like, I mean, we've seen a ton of them, but is there one contest that does stick out in your mind just for any reason?
Yeah, I could probably put like three that really stick out.
What would those be?
The 2019 X Games was like a really special one for me because I just fully pulled an audible and switched my run and hadn't spun like that direction on that jump or that direction on that jump, and was like sitting at the back of the field, and a month and a half prior took 2 screws out of my knee and snowboarded one day before the X Games started. And that was pretty monumental for me. And natural selection, the very first one, that was pretty massive win for my career. And I don't know, people just, it was kind of like a moment where it's like, yeah, he's not just a park rider. And I had put lots of good backcountry footage out prior to that, but it was cool to like put a stamp on that. And to me, that natural selection, there's never been one that had the tune in, the excitement, that was such a special time. And everyone, it was kind of like COVID, just coming out of COVID, people were tuned in. It was the first like head-to-head. There hadn't been head-to-head in snowboarding so long. Just the hype around it felt so real. And yeah, I mean, it was one of my more proud moments. And then I'd say like this last Olympics, sitting in 4th and landing the run I really wanted to on my last run, and it being my 3rd Olympics and being able to like compete with the youngins was pretty special too.
There is a very, very small list, not just in snowboarding, of any Olympic athlete having 3 medals of any color. You know what I mean? Like it's very small. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and like, but some people have games where they really kill it and win a couple in the games. But I mean, over that, I don't know, 14 through 22, I have a long time, and in such a ever so changing sport and ever so progressive. Like, you look at the start list at the World Cups, I look like a dinosaur, dude. Like, I'm born in 93 and pretty much everyone's born in 03.
Dude, it's true. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. And I'm at the point now in my like snowboard journalist career where I've literally watched like almost 3 generations of professional snowboarders like rise and then exit. It's wild that at, how old are you? 33?
30.
It's wild that at 30 years old, you're considered like the veteran. That's fucking nuts.
No, it's a young man's sport. It's crazy. But then when I'm like a rookie in the back end, not a rookie, but like middle of the pack, like honestly, kind of like a younger guy at natural selection, which is so cool and quite honestly motivating and exciting for me. And the guys I really respect and love to film with in the backcountry are usually a little bit more old than me, or if they're not, they exited the contest scene way before me and have a lot of experience back there. And it's really humbling, and I have so much respect for them because they're so nimble in the mountains and know what they're doing. And I'm learning, but I also just dabble. Like I'm not fully in that yet, This year more than ever, I only did one contest in the park, and then I did natural selection and was really ready to film, but my knee got in the way.
Yeah.
But I got to film in Japan in Jan, and then I went to the interior, and then I spent some time in Tahoe, but it was a tricky winter.
Yeah, it looked like you got pretty hurt there on your last heli trip.
I'll send you guys the photos, but so when I woke up from the anesthetic, Pat Dodge was with me, and I was pretty sure I heard what the guy said, and I did hear right. I was like, why didn't Dr. Brown tell me exactly what he did? Did he tell you what he did? And Pat's like, no, he just told me that the surgery was way more extensive than he thought, but it went perfect. I was like, okay. So like they put like one plate in or whatever, And then I finally thought I was going to meet up with him, but I ended up only seeing the eye doctor, the optometrist. But that was great. And that was at the 3-week mark. And they were like, you're still seeing in 2020. your eyes are level. We pushed it up 30 millimeters because it had dropped. When you shatter your orbital, you get drop eye.
Yeah.
So that got good, like, and all the readings were great. I hate when they open your eye and like put this thing on it, and it's just like, oh, sympathetic nervous system just kicks in, just start leaking. But anyways, I finally got to Aspen for culture shifters, and Dr. Hackett, being the legend he is, he just walked me right into the hospital in Aspen, and we got imaging done. But yeah, to that point earlier, it was an extensive surgery. I found they put 4 plates in my face. Whoa. And they put a full mesh thing on the back of my eye.
And Hackett confirmed it was also like a perfect surgery, though.
Oh yeah, he said that guy's nice with it. But that guy is nice with it. He did all my stuff in 2017 in my jaw. And,
yeah, where was that one at?
That surgery was in Vancouver at BGH when I hit the tree in 2017. So when this happened in the interior of BC, we're like, we got to get to the coast, to the good plastics. And so we went and saw Dr. Brown again, Aaron Brown, great guy. Loves to be on the mountain as well. And he's just, yeah, it's unreal that they can just make, like, they made one little incision that you can see, and then they pull the bottom eyelid down and slit on the inside, which is so heebie-jeebie to think about, but you can't see it. And then to do my nose and cheek, they went in through my mouth. So, I mean, it sucks in the moment, but now you can barely tell that anything happened. But it's as if I've left the dentist from here all the way down here, my nose, this side of it. Like, I can't, it's week. Yesterday was 4 weeks, and I still can't feel it.
Wait, when
it's not droopy.
When you had when it was 30 millimeters off or whatever, did that, like, when you were looking, did it feel like the world was a little like tilted? Like, was there any difference in your?
Honestly, my eye was pretty much shut.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like
they would open it and do all the tests and stuff. And honestly, I think I can tell there's something off due to the just like uncomfortable headache that wouldn't subside.
Damn.
But I got so lucky. Like, I was knocked out for 2 minutes, and the fact that I feel clear and I don't have like a huge lingering concussion is the biggest blessing of all. And I have my eyesight.
Was this one was this a knee to face, or what'd you hit?
Can confirm.
Yeah.
Knee to face.
Sorry.
Like, if I didn't have my freaking Oakley prisms on, my eye would still be in the Revelstoke backcountry. I don't know where it'd be, in the back of my head. It's fun to laugh about, but that was no joking matter for sure. And luckily we were flying that day. Like, I couldn't imagine trying to get out on a sled in the situation.
No, that would have sucked, man.
Yeah, like, and by the time I came to, the guy that had ridden down the slope was sitting beside me with all his bag open and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that some time elapsed there. That's brutal. And then the heli bumped forward, and then I ended up just getting on my 2 feet and walking out like the last inch of landing that was left and down to the heli. And he gave me his poles. But yeah, I remember everything, every little thing. I'm so lucky. And when I get my heart rate up, I started getting my heart rate up at week 2. And that's usually when you can really tell if the concussion's bad or not. If you exert energy and you start to get those symptoms. And I had none of that, and I feel blessed.
Good man, dude. Well, we're glad you're good. And
thanks, T-Bird.
Man, you always come back. When I hear that you get injured, I'm like, fuck, that sucks. But I always know you're just gonna come back and crush it again. You're like Canadian Iron Man.
That is pretty. Yeah, that's just how do you feel that you are the person? You're your biggest bully. You're the person that you kick your own ass the most.
Yeah, I just keep coming back for 2 punches, 2016, 2017, and then a lot of years passed, and then 23, 24. I 2016 broke my femur, 2017 whacked the tree, and then 2023 I broke my fibula, and then 2024 broke my face. And it's really weird how it all works like that. So hopefully I'm unscathed for another 7.
Do you think you have more medals or more broken bones in your career?
Way more medals.
Okay.
Nah, not way more. Like if we're talking X Games, it's really close because I think I got 23 X, and then I broke 17 bones in the one accident, and I had broke a femur and ankle, so 24, 25, and I broke like 4 bones in my face that time. Yeah, no, more broken bones than X Games medals. But if we're gonna bring in Olympics and all the other detours and World Cups, I think I'm outweighing the broken bones on. That is ridiculous. Fun question, Mark.
Definitely you have more medals to hang around your neck than you have metal in your body.
And honestly, thank God they don't put metal in my body. They put titanium, so I don't ring at airports, and it's light, and your body reacts better, I guess, to that. And like if you get a knee replacement, then you'll make an airport thing go off, but I don't plan on getting one of those anytime soon.
Yeah, most people count like golds, and you're like, the most important medal that I've received in my life is titanium. I need to make sure those are doing very well.
We need to praise them. Yeah, no, and honestly, it's always good to take it out if it bugs you. But I've been lucky. Like the bottom 2 screws in my femur that are down by my knee, those bugged me. They created like this crazy muscle bursa in 2019. So 3 years after the surgery, it started to really like push out and then click on my IT band, and then made this whole mess, and took those out. And then the 2 ones up here, they ended up getting out, or I ended up taking them out because they just caused issues. But all the others, they say if it doesn't bug you, don't take it out, because it's kind of like starting the rehab again, because then they open up the bone and there's holes, and that needs to close up, obviously.
Yeah. And when it regrows as an adult, I've heard this, doesn't it regrow stronger when you grow bone as an adult as opposed to when you're a kid?
Oh, maybe. It's way harder to get it to grow, though.
Yeah.
The older you get.
With all the time you spend in the hospital, you're just going to like maybe do a few more weeks of school and just get your doctorate?
I got a doctorate of law last spring. I spoke at the convocation at the University of Saskatchewan. That was pretty terrifying. That was honestly one of the scariest things I've ever done in my life.
Well, I'm actually
speech style, yeah.
I'm actually fighting a parking ticket case here in Portland. Can I hit you up offline about it?
I got a question just about that, like just that long span though, and young man's game and entering into because you are also, you've been putting up backcountry parts, and like, yeah, you kind of called yourself a rookie, but yeah, obviously nowhere near a rookie, and you're still planning, I'm sure, on being in the backcountry for the rest of your life. Like, how serious do you take like just staying in shape, staying healthy? Like, are you putting as much research as like a LeBron? Because obviously like Red Bull, we know has like those like exercise places where you can go around the world and get worked on. How much do you put in on like keeping yourself healthy, just battling through injuries and all that stuff?
Honestly, I take it really serious, because if I'm injured, then my day job is getting better. And I think about how serious I take when I'm like competing or filming or just trying to be the best snowboarder I can be. I work really, really hard at it, and I have a lot of motivation. So that when I can't do it translates to how I recover. And even when I'm healthy, I take really good care of myself, because I want to have longevity in the sport, and I want to feel good. And quite honestly, when you take care of yourself, you feel really good. Put my body through the ringer.
I was gonna say, I know one of your secrets is dried mangoes. Do you have any other secrets?
Yeah, lots of collagen, creatine, protein, lots of mobility. Keeping like the more mobile your hips are, the safer your knees are. The stronger your hamstrings are, the safer your knees are. The stronger your core is, the safer your back is. The more thoracic spine rotation you have, like in the upper back, mid back, the better off you're gonna be. And man, these kids are like Beyblades out there now. So I gotta be able to whip.
I want to go back to like talk about the beginning of your career. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but when I met you at the launch, you might have been like 14, 15 in that range.
Yeah, that was like right at the very start when I met you.
Yeah. Were you riding for a company called Class 5 Snowboards? Is that right?
I was. Great fellas.
Yep.
That hail from Saskatchewan. And they were great to me, man. They made me boards, and they made great boards, and they're all handmade, and they had a lot of passion behind it. And I was lucky to have that support young. And I mean, yeah, it's not like my parents were going to buy me new snowboards. So
Right.
I needed that.
And then like a two-parter here. How did the Burton thing come about is question one. And question two is, what was that key moment where you kind of got the idea that they want to really do something with you, right? So how'd you get on Burton, and when did you kind of know like, oh shit, this is a crazy opportunity?
Yeah. I spent one season doing pro events on those class 5 boards, and I did pretty well. I did really well at the Arctic Challenge, and I podiumed at some major events. I won the very first slopestyle World Cup they did, because they never did World Cup slopestyles. They were only scaffolding, big airs, and half pipe contests. And this was in 09 or 2000. Yeah, 2009. And then that summer, talking to a few different agents, I got to go to like the sandbox shoot, that heli shoot in Whistler. And that was like late spring. And then the Red Bull guy was there, and he's like, whoa, you should come to New Zealand with us. And then I rode with like Pat Moore and a bunch of different people at this Red Bull thing. And they were vibing with me, and I was just so starstruck. And it was crazy, man. Funny to think back. Still starstruck by the Morski. And then
Seabird was his coach.
I believe it, man. New Hampshire boys. And then I got an email when I was in New Zealand from Jason Isaacs, who's still to this day my snowboard agent. And he was really stoked on what I was doing. And then I saw his roster, like John Jackson, Torstein Horgmo, Mikey LeBlanc, like all these insane people. I was like, holy cow, this guy has some interest in me. What? And then I got home from New Zealand, and he flew up to Canada. I picked him up, and we was listening to hip hop. He met my family. We're skating. I was like, this is the coolest guy ever. And I definitely want to be with this guy. And yeah, then I went down to SoCal that summer, and one of his close friends was Brian Knotts. Shout out New Hampshire again. Who was kind of the marketing boss at Burton at the time. I got to look at this showroom that they used to have in Newport, and I was like, yeah, I think I want to ride on the best product that's made. And that sounds great. And look at all these amazing riders that are on this team, and if I could even just be a part of it, like, because when I was like coming up in snowboarding, I wasn't like, oh, I want to win everything. I was just like, I just want to be in the mix. I just want to hang out with these people. Like, this is crazy, I just want to be there. And then whatever. So yeah, that fall I got on Burton, and I remember going over to Hintertux and riding with like Grillo and stuff. I was just baffled. I was so stoked. It was the coolest thing ever. And I loved the product. I had a good season the next year and all the way through. And then I was had finished this New Zealand Open. That was a Burton event, and I went to Vermont after. And that was the first time I met Jake. I walked into his office, and like, what have you been up to? And I'm like, he's like, you had a good season, huh? And I was like, yeah, dude, it's really fun. Thank you so much for putting me on the squad and blah, blah, blah. He's like, where were you just now? I was like, I was in New Zealand, and I actually did the Burton New Zealand Open. He's like, how'd you do? I was like, well, dude, I actually won. And he just starts punching me. And the guy like, ah! It was so funny. Never forget it. And yeah, our friendship pretty much sparked from that moment on.
Yeah, meanwhile, like in your head, you're probably like, does this dude know he's fucking Jake Burton? Like, does he understand?
Yeah, dude, he's just acting like my boy. It was insane. And he just, praise that man. He was the best.
You seem to have had, you two really seemed to hit it off. It seemed more than like the person who owned the company is friends with the star riders. Like, you seem to have like a serious connection with that dude. And the reason I bring it up is because even, in my 18 plus years in the industry, I've only met him a couple times because I was just so intimidated to be in the room with that dude. I wish I had capitalized on it because I know we would have hit it off. But when he walked in the room, I was like, fuck, that's Jake Burton, man. I gotta leave. Like, this is too crazy.
And I know, and he transformed those feelings for me. He made me feel so welcome. He truly like valued my opinion on things, product, riders. Like, yeah, man, it was crazy. He was 40 years my senior, and quite honestly, he was like one of my best friends.
Yeah.
We would like just go on trips together and like just go shred, go surf, swim, like anything. He just loved being active. He loved having fun. He loved product. He loved innovation. He loved performance.
Yeah.
And he loved my roots.
On a a personal little aside here, I've never gotten to do a day with Jake because I've always been at, natural selection or like a ride shoot or something like that. And so getting to spend, I know it wasn't like the day, but it was a little micro day for Jake at Revelstoke with the Burton crew. It was powerful, man. I was getting like kind of fucking emotional riding down that cat track with all the homies. That was a very cool experience for me.
Totally. Like, to think about it, with many, he did this, and many people had a lot of influence in where snowboarding's at today, but that guy didn't. Kind of like, when you're riding, you're like, wow, he didn't invent the sport, but he hugely shaped it.
Was there a point where, like, you've been running the like, you've seen the Burton logo on your chest and like on your gloves and your boots for almost your entire career, besides this with Class 5 action?
Yeah.
Was there a point that as you became like good friends with Jake, like it kind of became like, instead of running the brand name, like, this is like my homie's name, this like means so much, like, because it is, I think, for everyone, when you see that brand, like, obviously Burton is probably it is the heavyweight of snowboarding. When anyone sees that, they associate it with snowboarding. But it's crazy because as you hear stories of him or just watch the documentary and just like, I've gotten to meet him a few times as well. Like, when that kind of transforms into a last name, it is very crazy to see everywhere in the world.
Totally. He had such an impact. And here's a funny story. I go to New York for my 21st with him. And this is a little bit embarrassing, but I'm like trying to check in, and he's like, yeah, like, I don't know if it's his assistant or whatever. It's like, or the room's under his last name. And I'm like, yeah, like Jake Burton. I'm like trying to like check in, and I figured out Burton was his middle name and his last name was Carpenter. But it took me a while. I finally like called him. I'm like, dude, I'm in the lobby, man. Like, I can't get it. Like, they say you're not staying here. And he's like, you dipshit, my last name's Carpenter.
Well, okay,
don't blow up my spot. I'm like, oh man, I feel like such a dipshit.
I totally get it too, because growing up in New Hampshire, Burton was the brand, right? So it's always Jake Burton, Jake Burton, Jake Burton.
Yeah.
And then as I get into the snowboard, I just thought his name was Jake Burton. I get into the snowboard industry and Donna Carpenter is introduced to me. And so, and someone's like, oh, it's Jake Burton Carpenter. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. He like hyphenated his last name. I thought he took his.
You guys are so progressive.
Yeah, seriously.
I thought it was like a choice that they had made. And then it wasn't until I was at Snowboarder magazine, I think Bridges told me, is like, dude, you fucking dumbass. His last name is Carpenter. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, but like, for sure, the world knows him as Jake Burton. And but the Carpenter family is amazing. And I'm just so thankful, like, to have the boys and Donna around. And it's really nice for the brand to still have that family, because they carry on his legacy. And
I give you so much credit in your career as well, just because you just played it fucking perfectly, man. Like, you capitalized on every opportunity you have and have had, and you aligned with the right brands, and you performed to help those brands sell their products and get their name out there. It's kind of match made in heaven. Like, I just can't picture you not wearing what you're wearing. You're just ingrained in all of the brands that.
Yeah, you had the results. Like, you brought in like the drama for like the biggest events where everyone's eyes are on snowboarding. You pull crazy shit that all of a sudden it's like you become this iconic moment to all these young snowboarders, where it's like then McMorris becomes this last name that like literally anyone in snowboarding just like it kind of just brings up a feeling of like you are one of the goats, like 100, like no ifs, ands, or buts. Like you will go down as one of the greatest snowboarders of all time, and you're still so young.
Thank you, guys. I'm sweating right now, to be honest.
We're just showering.
We don't have too much longer. We got a couple more questions here and there, but dude, just because this will come out, dude, we'll go a little light now. This will come out during the NBA playoffs, and you've gotten to sit courtside at like guess a handful of Celtics. Like as far as watching sports, because I know you're a big hockey fan, big sports fan. Like is sitting courtside at an NBA game like
the greatest? There's no better sport to watch. There's no boards. There's no anything. You're in the game. It's the sickest thing ever. And I've gotten lucky with Nike taking me courtside at Raptors games. And then Red Bull's even done it a few times. Red Bull Canada is based out of Toronto. So, and we had Pascal Siakam on the Bull.
Yep.
So he became a friend and a Pacer.
Pascal is Indiana.
Yeah.
Now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Playing for the Pacers as of this year. But he became a friend when he was on the Raptors. And then, I don't know any players on Boston personally, but just through the Carpenters, I've got to be at a lot of rad games, like a lot of playoff games too, like LeBron, Curry, like all these people playing the Celtics. It was, jeez, man, good times. I feel really lucky because I grew up loving basketball, but not like I loved hockey. But I loved the game. We would play tons of outdoor basketball, and I played in elementary school on the team, of course. And I just think it's a rad sport. And then to get to experience it in the fashion I have I feel so fortunate. It's so rad. I mean, I've sat in the nosebleeds too at basketball games. It's still fun. Like I took Ika and Schubert this winter to a Jazz game, which was pretty fun. We had some laughs and it was good to watch. I've also sat courtside at a Jazz game with Hale once on Skull Candy before they did their huge rebrand.
Sick.
Dude, Bird's now done a season in Portland. We're all pretty big basketball heads.
I know, dude.
I got to shoot some NBA finals back in.
No, make no mistake about it. I'm the low man on the totem pole, but yeah, I'm in the stadium for home games. And dude, it's crazy that the one thing that gets me with being anywhere near the court during a game is I get hyper fucking focused about like where I'm stepping. Like the last thing you want to do is end up on like SportsCenter not top 10 because you like tripped over a fucking TV cable and they had to call a fucking timeout to stop the game. So I'm just like, when I'm anywhere down there during the action, I am like light footing that shit all over the place.
At the very last Olympics, somebody dropped their camera like down the pipe and it like went on SportsCenter. Like you just see this like camera rolling down the pipe. And the amount of DMs I got, Hebert actually hit me up and was like, "Hey dude, is this your camera?" Like nonstop. Yeah. And then a few days later, I got kicked out on live television during women's big air final in the Olympics.
Yeah.
I was trying to get a photo of Anna Gasser. So I like sneak in behind this one little thing past the security guard, and T-Bird just happened to be watching, recorded it in the background of Anna's interview, a security guard yelling at me and telling me to get the hell out.
In China? Or in Korea?
In China.
Wow, that's unreal.
SportsCenter not
Yeah, I had one moment. Okay, I'll tell one courtside story from Boston. And this was after Jake had passed. I think it was last spring or maybe 2 springs ago. But they're in the playoffs. I fly to Boston to meet up with Donna and just have like a fun weekend and go to the game. And we sit down and I'm like, holy shit. Like, Donna, I know you don't know these guys, but the guys beside us are next level. And it's 21 Savage and Lil Durk. And they both have styrofoam cups, double cup. And a ball came and knocked one of theirs over. And that's what you call an oil spill in the rap scene, because it's a very expensive spill if there was, cough syrup in there.
If it's
oh god, yeah. If it's a 4 finger, a 2 finger, Never know
That's
what they're
insane.
measuring with. But I don't have confirmation that was what was in their cup, but it was a big scene when it spilled. It was bad news for them. But anyways, they ended up being so nice. Donna embarrassed me hella in front of them. She like took a photo of me and them and then proceeded to tell them like what a like legend I was. And I was like, no, please. It was so funny though. But anyways, it's been really funny anytime I've gone to any of those things. And you're always like, even with Jake, we went to a playoff game and like Gucci Man and freaking Chris Rock, they're just like freaking out. Like, and all the like funny people courtside that you get to see. And Jake would get so into it, like stand just like screaming at the players and I'd just be like, oh my God, they're sweating again. But anyways, yeah, it was so fun going to games with Jake, and it's so fun going with Donna, and it's so fun going with the boys. And they are truly a sports family. They love sports. They follow the Rangers super close. They follow the Celts super close, the Giants and the Mets. Those are their teams, and they don't really miss games on TV, or if they can go, they'll go. But I always love their appreciation just for sport and competition, and they love it.
If you had to do a post-game jersey swap with one like mainstream athlete, someone not from the sport, like our sports world, and then also if you could do one in snowboarding, who would be your two jersey swaps?
Ooh, great question.
Holy cow. It's a hard question. I've been lucky
think about it.
to have lots of
we got time.
rad friends in the NHL give me jerseys, but I mean, getting like a Tom Brady jersey would be pretty insane or something, you know?
Yeah.
Don't give T-Bird that satisfaction.
Please.
I thought you were going to go ahead
all
and
day. All day.
I don't know. Like I have a few friends that have played in the NFL, and I only have one friend that's currently playing in the NFL, and he just got drafted to the Eagles, which is very exciting.
Sick.
So that's CJ.
But like, I can only, big shout CJ Uzama, nice kid, great kid, loves snowboarding. Kenny Stills, big shouts, great ex wide receiver, loves snowboarding, pretty much snowboards every day now. Giovanni Bernard, who is a great NFLer who loves snowboarding too. Brennan Marshall, lots of guys. But I mean, if you talk about like longevity and athletes and what really motivates me, it would be cool to do it with Brady. I mean, you can't look past that career.
If you're talking longevity, you could like swap out with maybe Hackett, get like his scrubs up on your wall.
Oh, buddy, he just gave me a pair of OG. He'd been holding on to them for a year, and we just like forgot when we would meet up and all this stuff. But he gave me a OG pair of original eye jackets from the 90s that he's like climbed all these crazy peaks with. And he's like, I can't wear them now. I should have never spent this much money on them when I was a kid. I had no money, but I needed these. And it's just insane. You know, Dr. Hackett went to med school when he was 30 years old. Like, he just climbed peaks before and snowboarded, and then he still climbs and snowboards, but he got into med school and went nuts, and now he fixes all of us, so that's pretty badass. He's pretty sad today. It snowed 12 inches yesterday in Vail last night, and Ninja, my agent Jason Isaacs, is on first chair right now, and Hackett's in the scrubs today.
Oh.
But I was like, I got a lot of respect for you for showing up. There's people that are relying on you to fix them, and he's literally the best guy ever. We had a great heli day in Whistler on 2 Fridays ago. I don't know if I was really allowed to go snowboarding, but we rode like these really mellow runs, so I felt okay.
That looked dreamy. I got one last thing before we let you go, Sparky, and that leads into my question. Where'd Sparky come from? Who dubbed you Sparky? Because I love that nickname.
Thank you so much. Sparky was just from the hockey parents when I grew up. All my friends' parents would call me Sparky, and my parents would call me Sparky. And then I'll never forget when like Danny heard it for the first time. My parents were at a contest in Breckenridge, and he was just like, "What?"
Yeah,
and just loved it. Yeah, and then it really made its way around the snowboard community.
That's awesome.
So yeah, you can't fight nicknames, but I honestly don't mind that nickname at all. It's a funny nickname, and it's endearing, and it's kind of me. So
well, yeah, it kind of reminds me of like Sparkplug. Like you're full of energy, man. You like kick the shit off. You get
I'm a spark plug.
You get everything running. You know, like you're a spark of energy. That's what I think.
God, Dave Simnewski won't stop calling me. We're going golfing in a bit.
Spark is a much better nickname for Mark than Narc, so you're good.
Yes.
Sparky's a way better.
Would people call you that?
T-Bird's called me a Narc plenty of times, but
yeah.
Oh, yeah, people have called me Mark the Narc and all this stuff. You and I are the farthest thing from narcs, Mark.
That's what I'm talking about. Mark's got to stick together. There's a lot of good. There's a lot of good.
Hell yeah, man.
Sparky, we've taken up enough of your time. We know you got some golf to play today.
Well, I got Pilates at 9:30, or I think it's 9:40. So, but it's okay. It's literally next door.
You got to take care of that body.
Get the body,
yes, sir.
Get the chassis ready, buddy.
Jake Anderson's on my balcony right now, ripping a dart, and I'm gonna go to Pilates. But
all right, buddy.
I love you guys.
Love you too, buddy. Thank you for coming on the podcast. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.
Again.
Later. Are we getting better at podcasting?
I think we might be, possibly.
Yeah, because our guests have been very good so far. So I'd like every guest has been phenomenal, but we've been the weak links.
Here's the thing about Mark, though, is he's the type of not just snowboarder. He's the type of person that like brings everybody up with him. Like his presence makes everything greater. His presence makes everyone perform a little better. So maybe it was just the Sparky effect that we had today, but I love talking to that dude. We had to cut it a little short because he's a busy man, but anytime I get a chance to sit down with Mark, I'm in awe of that kid. He's just done incredible for himself.
Yeah, well, I also like how we're cutting him off right at an hour still, just because like I have so many more questions for him, so it'll be nice to get him on again, sometime in the future. They're crazy. We didn't cover half the stuff we wanted to talk about.
No, I mean, podcasting, man. It's open highways everywhere you go.
Were you about to hit a little, did I hear music? Were you going to preview a jingle?
I was not going to preview it. We don't. I was dragging something into a folder on my desktop.
Well, it sounded good. Maybe we should drag a few times in a row and see if that works.
Just the dropping in a folder. It's that noise over and over again.
Yeah, I think also I have to give a shout out to New Balance because I didn't put my foot in my mouth this episode, and I did go on a nice walk in New Balances earlier. So New Balance, would you like to be a sponsor?
What are we talking for mileage? What's average mileage of a Mark Clavin walk?
A 2 mile walk. I think you can get through a good 30-minute podcast. I've been listening to The Bunt recently. They have some really awesome questions. Obviously, like 9 Club, Smartless, Bill Simmons.
Do you go spontaneous route, or is it the same route? Like, do you hit a coffee shop along the way? Do you stop by the lake that's right outside your front door? Give me the quick route of the walk.
I do a nice little lakeside walk. There's a nice road right behind my house that I can kind of just enjoy. But I know I do the same walk about every day. I got it pretty dialed.
Get some of that fresh Cleveland sulfur-filled air or whatever's out there.
Oh, yeah. The lake, just a nice breeze off Lake Erie that used to be on fire back in the day. But I'm not going to put, you know what? Mark inspired me to not put down Cleveland, even though
that's right.
Even with my jabs, it's nothing but love. I love this place very much. But yeah, he was offended when I made a joke about Cleveland. Thank you, Mark.
Well, dude, another episode in the books, episode 5. Mark McMorris. What can you say about him that hasn't already been said? He's fucking awesome. He's the dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Always wears a Red Bull hat to hide his goat horns. I'm gonna redo that. Never mind. Like a goat, because he's really good at snowboarding.
That was such a bad fucking joke. We can't end on that.
Yeah, it was terrible. I don't know. Let's see. No.
All right, buddy. Well, I'm gonna sign off. Quit recording. I'll get this thing to Nick, and appreciate you Clavin. You're the man. I like doing this with you. It's fun.
Yeah, that was a good one. Peace.